All right, då är vi tillbaka igen här med streamen från Vinterspelen här i Malmö. Och nu kommer jag faktiskt gå över till engelska för att min gäst här pratar engelska helt enkelt. So we're going to be talking English from now on.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to the stream here, first of all. And feel free to introduce yourself, sort of.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me here. My name is Eliana Oikawa. I work as the COO for Game Habitat here in Malmö.
So that is what we're going to talk about today, about Game Habitat. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is it that you do?
So, well, yeah, first of all, Game Habitat is the game development hub in southern Sweden. We are a small non-profit supported by Malmö Stad and Region Skåne. And then we work as well with the game studios of the region who also support us as membership. And we work promoting the region as a leading game development region. And then we organize activities and events and projects with the communities and the studios. I mean, that is in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah. So you are not a game development studio yourself?
No. So we work with a lot of game developers and of course with the game studios in the region, but we don't develop games. No. So as I mentioned, we are a non-profit and then we work for the industry, with the industry. So we have a close collaboration with the public sector, meaning the city and the region, and the game educations of the region, and as well the other organizations here and the community. So we work promoting the industries and creating, trying to attract the right opportunities and create the right ecosystem for games to thrive. Yeah. So basically to attract more companies and to inspire more people to take the step into a career of game development. Yeah. And then of course to support the existing companies, from small companies, from one person studio to big companies.
All right. Like now that might, or like this question might somewhere, is Malmö has been touted as the gaming city of Sweden, basically. Yeah. Is your initiative really needed down here? How do you feel about being challenged about that?
We like to think of that we had, like a tiny, some part of the credits for that, in a sense, hopefully. It was recently, in the newspapers and press, I started talking more about that, and we're really happy because that's basically our vision to the region of southern Sweden be known as the leading game region in Europe, and as well to be the best environment possible for game development. So we are quite happy that recently news start changing from gangster town or such to a game city. Actually, our name used to be Game City, but now it's Game Habitat. Yeah. And then it is I think the credit is just because Malmö, despite the size, is the second biggest game cluster in Sweden, so just after Stockholm. I think most people don't know, they just walk around the city and they normally just see maybe massive building, which is of course massive. But there are so many other studios. So in the region that compiles Skåne and Blekinge, there are 60 plus game studios and over 1,000 game developers. Yeah. So when you think about the size of the region, and I mean the majority in Malmö, of course, so just Malmö has over 50 game studios. It's from one person to 700 people. So you most people don't know, and then that's quite impressive for the size. So it's just it's one of the densest regions in Europe for game development. Yeah. So it's there's 4 times more game developers per capita than than London and cities like London.
Yeah. No, and I'm finding some sort of pride in the fact that we are such a tight or what should I say, well-developed gaming city. I'm
Yes.
finding it really cool to be part of this town, and feel really proud to be a member of this town in that sense. And yeah, you were saying that you sort of should be credited a little bit with getting us there in a sort of way. But yeah, what was the biggest challenge you faced when you were starting out? Like how was it in the beginning when Game Habitat, or Game City as it was known back then, started out?
So maybe just to complement the crediting a bit, it's just that, I mean, of course, as Game Habitats, we focus in game development, but this region is indeed so rich, and when talk about game industry in general, because there are as well, of course, other organizations alike, such as the Malmö eSport and the Spelens Hus, so they also work in different areas, but with games. So just the players or the people taking the step into professional like esports players, and then we all collaborate, but we have our own focus. And then when I mentioned about the little credit is because last year in September we opened the Dev Hub, which is actually very close to here. It's like Gustav Adolf's toy, and then it's the community-focused co-working space for game developers. And then of course a Game Habitat exists for 6 years. But once we had actually a physical space that represented our goal and our vision, and basically was a small sample of the community, right? So it's a physical place they can go and then meet developers and meet like 20 of the companies that are here in Malmö, like sitting there from, as I said, from small to big companies, from publishers, game conferences. So it kind of attract a lot of press at the time. So it's not that there's a lot of efforts from different organizations towards like a more inclusive and diverse community here, and like to basically direct the game, the development of the game industry into the right direction, basically. But because of the press that actually we attracted, I think it helped a lot. It was like a combination of all these 6 years of efforts. And together with the other organizations, and that led to now be able to have this positive news, I guess, and positive eye on the development of the city. Yeah. And then, sorry, what was your other question?
What was the initial challenges that you faced?
How we started as well. So yes, we started 6 years ago. As I said, we were called at the time Game City, and then we were started by the industry. So there were around 20 representatives from the industry, so from different game studios of the region. They got together and they saw at the time that there was a need for a type of organization that could track the development and the community that was forming here. So it was like fast growing, more studios coming after massive move to Malmö. There was like more developers coming because they were hiring as well from other countries, and then all the studios start sparkling here and there and startups. So there was a need to both track but as well to take care of this community, to develop it and to nurture and to have activities so we can actually build this community feeling, so people who were coming here, they could feel welcome, they could have support. As I mentioned, some people came from the countries with a whole family, don't speak the language, like shamefully I don't speak Swedish. Like I've been here for a while but I still don't speak Swedish. So it was important to have that, and as well to act as a hub, which is our main work, is what we do. Our main purpose is to act as a hub, connecting the different sectors and organizations so we can all have this strong collaboration. I think the challenge in the beginning, of course, as any other non-profit and organization like ours, is money, right? Like that's everyone's problem, I would imagine. Well, not everyone's, some people some struggle, either have too much or either have too little. Yes, as I said, like in the beginning, I think at that time, 6 years ago, there was not the same boom. Like now there's a strong focus in games. Like you have this amazing event, Vinterspelen, like you had GamingHike Masters happening. So there's a lot of things happening now. But 6 years ago, it was slowly starting. And there was a need, of course, to prove, like to show to the politicians the importance of the game. There was not just entertainment, but there's culture, and there's like a need to, there's like generate a lot of jobs, and so of course there's a lot of revenue, and there was actually an industry that needed attention, and it was just booming and growing super fast, but most people didn't actually know what was happening. And of course there's all this reaching, you know, hundreds of thousands of developers worldwide. So cute. So yes, the challenge was at first just to get the right people on board. So we were very happy that we were started by the industry. So of course it was very easy to prove that there was the interest, that they needed that. There was a need, there was a demand, and we just needed to get the right parts to help. But I think we being very happy actually with the support that we got. Like we've been with a very strong partnership with Malmö City from the beginning, including with the house now and the region's corner. So I would say it was not really hard to get on board, but of course there are things that, and there's more projects that you want to develop that therefore needs. Funds, I would say.
Of course. You always could use more money to do more things and so on and so forth. No,
just enough, not too much. We still are non-profit, so we don't want to make money. We just want enough to make the project.
Exactly. Do more things. Do more things. We were talking a little bit about how Malmö has grown as a gaming community, and a lot of people still see gaming a little bit as, what should I say, a bad pastime, I would say. The stigma has definitely been starting to getting eased out now, but there's still some stigma left. How are your views on that? Is that something you're working with, that part of the whole gaming side?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when we talk about our mission of, you know, creating the best possible environment, there has a lot of steps. You know, to reach to that point. There are so many things that we have to do and things that we have to achieve together with others and partners. But one of them is basically to change this, this impression, this idea. I mean, of course, as you said, I feel that nowadays is so much better. Like there was so much stigma before, I guess, when you know, when we were growing up, but there was like we were the nerdy, like geek, you know, like even though when you were kids, playing games was a very common thing. Like we would see consoles as almost like toys, right? Like we had our SNES, Super Nintendo, or like a Master System. You know, it was like kind of toys. Like people, the parents, I think, didn't think so much about that. But of course, when it comes to PC games, then, you know, like when I had like Doom, and, you know, kids killing demons with chainsaw, I think then the things kind of, whoa, what is that? So of course there was a need for some more regulation, which I think now we start getting in a much better situation for the players. There's so much like things that had to go, process that had to go before the games reached to, you know, the players, as their certifications, I think, to make sure that they are appropriate age and so on. But of course that is the thing of is case by case. I mean, there are of course the stories of people who play, I don't know how many hours a day, and becomes a bit of addiction. But I think there's so much more of the good side of it. I mean, there are studies that show that basically people who play games when they're young, they are more prone to basically take education in technology or engineering. And there's like from many years, there's like a scarce for female engineers and in tech in general. And then it's been proven that girls that play games, they are 3 times more likely to apply to such educations and take such a path career. And, you know, when it comes to games, I think, is such a diverse, multidisciplinary industry. There's like this very techy, but it's also very artistic.
Yeah.
I think, in my point of view, is more inspiring than anything else. And I mean, you can watch a lot of scientists in TED Talks talking about all the benefits about playing games, of improving memory, improving
problem solving,
coordination,
yeah.
and so many things. But of course, nothing in our life in excess is good. You know, like there's nothing, even healthy things, if you take too much, they're not very good either for you. You need the balance.
Yeah.
You definitely need balance. I mean, you definitely need to just play outside as well.
Yeah.
Not with a TV, computer monitor.
I'm also wondering, are you only focusing on helping digital game studios, or are you also helping out the more let's call them analog, those who develop card games or board games and stuff like that?
No, so it's like our focus is in digital games.
Yeah.
As an industry, because it's like, as I mentioned before, when you talk about games, it's so big.
Yeah.
A lot of people just tend to think as one thing, which it can be a bit bad. Like a lot of people think about gaming like as in like casino and those kind of things, and that is not games industry. Like that is a different industry. Yeah. So and then we see as well the analog, like the board game, as a different as well industry. Like there are some organizations in Malmö as well that basically focus on that, and we all love playing board games. We play all the time. The Dev Hub as well. But it's it's so big. Like I think it's important to have focus, because just gaming industry on its own is such a giant industry with so many layers. So we just chose to focus on that.
I also believe that when it comes to just digital games, there are like different problems than compared to like we just talked about the stigma when it comes to digital games. The board games and the card games don't have that same sort of stigma. Sure, it can be viewed as nerdy sometimes and stuff, but someone playing a lot of board games doesn't seem as bad as someone playing a lot of like computer games.
Yeah, I guess the stigma comes from hard to say. I think of course some people just say in general, like people that play too much like role-playing games. Some people might say that they are nerdy or geek as well. But I think nowadays also the word nerd and geek is not so pejorative as it used to be. No. I think now it's kind of it's just there's nothing bad to it. They are the cool kids actually. Like they are the ones making the dough. But it's like when it comes to what you're saying, I understand. I think it's because there's the whole thing of like, if you're sitting, in the dark, like playing, facing the screen, it's a bit like people just think, it's your body like sitting, and then you like maybe damaging your muscles and your spine, because maybe you're not sitting in the most comfortable position, and then of course it's stressing the muscles because you're using mouse and keyboard. So of course you get the, you can get the tension like over, like the repetitive work, right? That you normally get there in some. When you're working, but then when you're playing, then you're starting much earlier, getting those things. And then as well, I guess, it's stressing your eyesight. But then again, it's all about balance. I think it's just, I think the stigma comes from that. I think some people might see, oh no, but that is really bad for your health because of those factors, I would say. Which, like listen to music could be as well, and watching films. So I don't know, it's I mean, I don't have a deep knowledge on that. No. It's just a bit of, I think, my point of view of what we gather from this common opinions, I guess, from people.
Of course. If we switch back a little bit more about the work that Game Habitat is doing, if I were to say, I want to start up a game studio, I want to develop either a game for myself or together with a few friends, what things could I get from, like, what kind of help would I be able to get from you if I contacted you?
Yeah, so I think normally what we do is like we meet a lot of people that basically comes exactly with those questions, which also with the Dev Hub made it easier, because now it's easier for them to find us. Before was of course mainly via email through our website, but now like sometimes these people actually just come there and talk. And as I mentioned, we also organize a lot of events, so that makes it easier for people to come and meet actually developers, people who are already developing games, but as well us. So what we do, we normally meet and listen, trying to understand what they need and how we can help. So through like actually one-by-one meetings, one-to-one meetings, we kind of see, like, I don't know, like recently I met someone that actually was just aspiring artist, like just drawing like some comics. And then just by talking to him and asking like, but what are you really passionate about? Like, but how do you see yourself? Like those normal questions. Then I actually suggested him to apply for the game assembly, which he did. And he passed, and then he started studying there for the animation course. And like recently I met him in one of our events, the events that we organize at GamingHike, and he was just so like, oh, thank you so much. Just like, he was like super happy, and I feel that he's really in the right path. So it's not that we normally have, you know, the...
Here's some things.
No, it's not so, how to say, concrete. But it's more, it's case to case. So, for instance, if you're already making games and you need all the teammates, people to work with you, then, you know, obviously come to our events and meeting. There's some events that are more to matching. And then, of course, you can, I'm looking for musicians, so you can use our channels to post, and then you can, through our events, meet other people that might be actually wanting to do the same thing as you. So that's the only way, like you have to be active. But maybe you're looking for a publisher, so maybe you already have some prototype, and then you just need some financing support. Or maybe you just need to actually understand how the industry works. So we're trying to help that just by meeting and talking, so you can basically always just write it to us via email or contact us to ask questions. But more importantly, like I think, come to our events, because our events are focused in basically we have a lot of talks. There's basically talking about the industry, and then how to start your own studio, how to get like a job in the industry, but as well just knowledge sharing for development. So between developers to developers, basically just talk about specific topics in development, but they are open to everyone and they are always free. And then also there are the meetups, which are more for business networks and just like as well community building, basically. So I normally give the advice because it's a great way to meet other people that are searching for the same thing. And as well, in case if you're very early stage, is looking through the educations. Like there are 10 different game programs here in southern Sweden that you can apply and study for game development.
So you're in short, you're providing guidance and connections, basically, which a lot of the time is what people are needing in this industry. They don't know where to start or who to contact about. It's like our purpose is to try to cover, like of course it's very ambitious and it's a lot, but because we are mainly two people, like as I mentioned, it's a small non-profit, but we've been working hard trying to cover all this wide range. So from those people, the enthusiasts, from people who just like to play games but been thinking about like a career in games, to all the way to actually developers that senior developers that want to leave and start their own studio, but then they need structure for that. Even if they've been in the industry for a long time, they've been employed and know like how to start their own business. And as well, like companies that want to move here. So attracting more companies to move to our region and then to establish the business here. So it's very challenging, and but that's why we need a lot of projects and we need collaborators. Like it's not that we want to do everything. I think I like to think that the thing that we want to do the most is as well inspire the people to do similar things and like to collaborate. So we do have some other projects that are run as part of Game Habitat, but they're run by other people. They are more focused in like going to schools and then talk about the industry, like for younger
kids is still like to explain how it is, like what are games, how games are made, and then of course all the opportunities that exist in game development. So like there's so many jobs that you can get basically.
Yeah, no, but it is really cool, and like I said, I've challenged you just to like get those answers to show our viewers and the viewers outside what it is you do, because it can be a little bit diffuse. Yeah, we're a gaming hub, or like we're trying to promote game development here in southern Sweden, or in Sweden in general.
Yes.
And why that is needed, and but it is like in so many different industries. The gaming development industry is can be a hard path to tread, essentially, if you want to start out, or if you want to try something different or something like that. So
definitely, but I think one of the success of this, not only the region, but Sweden is very successful when it comes to games, games industry, is also due to all the social security that you have in Sweden. Because when you talk about like game development in Sweden, and then you think about game development like in Africa or like in Brazil or some other countries, it's like we are so far ahead because there's so many incentives, and then the social security, there's a lot of ways that people can basically experiment and take the risk without thinking like, oh God, they're gonna lose everything and gonna bankrupt, they're gonna be on the streets. Like there are some support, thankfully, like to the government, so it enables like individuals to basically okay, you're gonna work for a while, save money, and then they're gonna take maybe a year to to try to make my own game and see how it is, like if it becomes successful or not. But then there are things, and then we are basically working to have even more, like to actually have some early stage funding, so it can help more startups to come to life and then people to basically achieve their dreams. Yeah,
that's really, really cool.
Are you thinking of making a game?
I have been thinking of making a game, or rather I had, when I was younger, I was actually thinking of getting into the gaming industry, but right then it was a little bit like I didn't know where to start, or like I didn't have all the credentials I need, so it ran out in the sand basically. And now looking back, it probably isn't for me. I probably enjoyed this a lot more.
Yeah, but isn't it part of the game?
Yeah, exactly. I love being part of the gaming industry, but I basically more talking about games, playing games, streaming games.
But I would say that you're part of the gaming industry, as I am. Yeah. Right? So it's like there's also another thing is you don't need to be there coding to actually be part of the industry, or like by making games. Yeah. Like, so I think that's the beauty of it. Like you can be a streamer, you can be like just writing, you can be doing events. This is also very important. That's why also we separate, because you can be doing events just for the game culture, or like for esports, or for game development, like Nordic Game Conference that happens in Malmö. Exactly. There's so many things. You can be a producer, you can be a tester. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities.
Any thoughts about how the future is going to look, both in regards to the industry here in Sweden or in general, but also maybe a little bit where the gaming is going, perhaps?
I think the future is bright, for sure. Because I mean, since we started 6 years ago, there were, I think at the time, there were just 300 and something developers here in the region, and that they were mainly massive. Yeah. And then at the time, because when we were basically building the structure and the strategy for the organization, we did like this, was my colleague Peter did this graphic kind of planning, okay, so in 5 years, that's what we want to be. And then if we, if you, Malmö City, support us now, that's what we can get. Like we can get to 1,000 developers. Yeah. And then, in 2019, which was like beginning of 2019, which was 5 years after, then we were over. Like we are actually now over 1,000 already. And then it's being very steady, like the same with the number of companies. You know, it's just being steadily growing as well. Before, the main big company was only like Massive, and then after came King. But now we also have IO Interactive. They came from Denmark. They're actually at the Dev Hub. Avalanche Studios, Tasha, I mean, as well as a big, and then Shark Mob, which is opening recently now, is being expanding in. So I think in the future we're gonna have even more, and hopefully a lot of the studios that are now maybe still small, they're gonna expand, and then also hopefully get more incentives, like can happen to investments, like happened with Shark Mob, of course. Got acquired by Tencent, like Chinese investors, and then Tasha now got acquired by Embracer Group. So I think in the future we're gonna have more of that, but hopefully as well a lot of studios that are gonna be able to make on their own without getting foreign investors or be bought to be acquired. So I think there's also a lot of, in Sweden in general, there's so many studios that are now part of stock market, and then they being able to invest in other studios as well. So I think we're growing, and I think we are growing into the right direction. I mean, Sweden has a lot of other organizations like Game Habitat in the other regions as well, doing the same work. And then I think there are more organizations like to be born, and then I think we've been collaborating more with each other, establishing a stronger partnership, and so I think that we're gonna bear like nice fruits, I think, in the future. Definitely.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yes.
I actually don't have a lot more questions right now. Since it's been New Year's, have any New Year's resolution maybe?
Yeah, I had a very slow, New Year's, I can't say enter of 2020. I'm still just super happy and psyched that's 2020, It's just wow, this is the future. I don't know. You mean for the organization, or you mean for?
Both personally, or do you have any?
Personally, I think I really want to learn Swedish. Actually, that would make I think that would make life easier.
Do you have any plans or anything that looks that you're looking forward to in 2020 in regards to Game Habitat? Yeah,
we have a lot of exciting projects that we. Been planning and really looking forward to start. So right now it's just a very early stage, so we just trying to get more just basically get funds so we can green light and get partnerships. But we also partner with other organizations, so some more projects gonna start now beginning of 2020 hopefully. It's just in the process of recruiting right now. So projects more towards diversity and inclusion, which is also one of our main focus. So I'm just quite excited to get it going on more projects, and I think we've been I'd say kind of getting more mature because it's still a young organization, and through most of it was just run by one person, 50%. So now the two people is still part-time, and then employed our first employee for the Dev Hub. We are actually just as well looking forward to kind of restructure and get it more like a solid foundation. And we've been doing a lot and try to kind of concentrate our focus. So I think it's just it will be a good year. I'd say yes.
Cool. If someone wants to how do you get in contact with you guys? What is the easiest way?
So we have a website, gamehabitat.se. You can also join our Discord server. You have to be invited, I guess. But then we have the link on the invitation link on our Facebook group. So we have a Facebook page for Game Habitat. We also have a Facebook page for DevHub, so Game Habitat DevHub. We have a Facebook group, which is as well like open to everyone. It's called like this Game Habitat community, where people can just post questions. So it's not only like to us, but sometimes you just want to ask questions to the game community. So you're more than welcome to post events and questions there, and then our community is going to answer. It's the same for the Discord server. It's the place for the community, but it's as well where we post all our events. So if you want to know more about our events and what the next one's going to happen, then just join our Facebook group. And then when it comes to contact, if you want to some direct questions or visit the Game Habitat Dev Hub, you can just write to our email, which is hello@gamehabitat.se.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good. I want to thank you a lot for coming here and speaking about Game Habitat. It's been, I've only been here 2 days now. I think I've learned a lot about the whole gaming sphere of Malmö, and this was also really interesting and educational.
And met a lot of game developers from here.
Yeah,
They're now on holiday, but
it's been a lot of fun. So thanks a lot for coming here. Med det så kommer vi faktiskt runda av den här dagen och ta och avsluta. Vi är tillbaka imorgon klockan 11. Once again, thank you a lot. And I hope to see you all tomorrow, and more things to come, basically. Take care.
Bye.